What's up, everybody? How you doing? Welcome back to the Punk Rock Review Podcast. I'm hanging out with a very special guest today. This is GORDY CARBONE from The Forgotten and Lars Fredriksson and the Bastards, hanging out talking about some punk rock stuff today and just chilling. So how's your day going, bud?
So far, so good, man.
Nice.
All right. How about you?
Oh, dude, it's 3 o'clock for me. And so my day's like, I don't know, I sleep until like 10. So it's not super late in the day for me, but you know, we're past lunchtime at this point. So my day is going great, man.
Gotcha.
Any day that I don't have a disaster before 3 p.m., I'm like, okay, all right, we're off to a good start. So yeah, I was fortunate enough to speak with Colin McPhail last week. And so, yeah, that one just went live a few minutes ago. So I'm excited to see how people react to it. It was a little shorter than I typically do, but he was very, very, very nice. And I think we may do another one in the future. So
I can't wait to see that. I love that guy. Everybody in that band is just an absolute stellar human being.
I feel like the luckiest dude on the planet because I get to just now, as I'm, middle of my life, I'm getting to like talk to people that, I don't want to be weird about it, but it's just bands I love my whole life. So it's people that I know I've got stuff in common with all you guys. And I'm like, it's really cool to get to meet people now and it just hear stories and, dude, you learn from all kinds of things. So I get to learn stuff and just, I don't know. That's just fun, man. I'm very happy. So,
I feel the same. I absolutely love that. And, you always hear the things about, you know what I mean? To be careful about meeting your idols and stuff like that. And I got to tell you, everybody that I've met that was an idol or an influence or anything like that, it's few and far between that I'm not completely impressed with the type of human that they are. It seems if they've got the legs to be, going at it this long and stuff like that, there's something there. They're the whole package, not just good in a band, but they're good all the way around. And it's really nice. And I love meeting people, out there. That's one of the biggest, it's the only paycheck that I got from punk rock was being able to meet, those idols out there and stuff. And it was just such a cool thing,
Dude, I totally agree. I think part of it is that we're fortunate enough to be in like punk. And I think it probably is true for metal as well. That the people are a little more, maybe not accessible is not the right word, but like down to earth, more ready to talk to people than maybe if you're like a pop star, it's probably not the same meeting somebody. And like, can you imagine what it would be like to meet somebody like Lady Gaga? It would just be different on all fronts, right? So yeah, I think punk rock is a little more personable. We're more, it's a community, like from the top to the bottom. It's the community,
I've always seen it as more real, and that's that's what drew me to it as a kid. I wasn't learning about Pol Pot in school, but I heard the name from the Dead Kennedys. You know what I mean? And Guns for the Afghan Rebels. And what does that mean? And these guys were writing about real things that were happening in their communities and countries and around the world, as opposed to the pop stars that were out there writing about, chicks and booze and, love ballads and things like that I just couldn't identify with. You know what I mean? There was just something so real and tangible about punk. And that's one of the reasons I brought in. So I've got no doubt that with what you do and talking with so many people, you actually get a lot more genuine responses from people than the canned responses that are going to show up on the extra interview and all the other different, things that they have to do on their press junket.
100%. And it's funny you mentioned that because I've had a lot of folks ask me like, so how do you prepare for these? I'm like, I don't. I listen to some of the music and that's it. I just listen to some of the artists' music because it's not really an interview per se. It is, but it's more like a conversation. And like, that's what it's supposed to be to me. And, I don't want, like you said, I don't want canned interviews. I feel like I've made so many friends doing this, man. Like, I feel like anybody I've ever talked to, if I walked up to them, I would be surprised if they weren't happy to see me because I know who I am. And I think that's right. Important. And that runs very deep within our community, man. Like I've got an awesome community on this channel too. Like there's some people that they know who I'm talking about that just really helped me along when I need it emotionally and mentally. But it does the same thing that the music does. It is all about, because that's what punk rock's about at the core of it. It's about community. And it's rebellion, but it's about, we all want to rebel against specific things. But let's talk about that for a minute, man. How did you get started in punk rock? What age were you? What was your first bands that you heard? However you got there, how was that journey started?
That was for the music. aspect of it, it was the Sex Pistols, straight up. I know that probably everybody and their mother says that, but that's just what it was. I was actually struggling, to find, a scene and find who I was. My mom was a teacher, and my parents moving from, where I was born across to the Silicon Valley and stuff. We lived in several different places, and it just made sense for her to always take me to whatever school she was teaching at. So I was bouncing around between a lot of schools, and each year was a different set of people and everything like that I was going for. And so it was a terrible time in life, and I bounced around everything from OP shorts, you know what I mean? The old kangaroo shoes with the zippers on them, and the Tigra shirt scene and stuff like that, trying to find where my niche was, the break dancing deal when that was all popular and stuff like that, and I kept on searching for something that felt like home. And, I thought that was just life. You know what I mean? That you always kind of felt disjointed, that if you hit a school dance, you had to force yourself to do certain things, to move, to dance and stuff. And I was riding around, I was 12, and I was riding around with a buddy in his car. And he had this mixtape that a cousin had made for him. And one of the songs that popped up was Anarchy in the UK by the Pistols. And at that point, something grabbed me by the spine and just started moving it. And I felt something. My body was moving involuntarily. And there was something in this, these sounds I hadn't heard before, the way that they were put together and the way that it was delivered. And it was unapologetic and it was beautiful, and I went right out afterwards and picked up Nevermind the Bollocks, and picked up the only, I think, in my itty bitty independent record store, I think they had Pistols and Suicidal Tendencies, and which my dad promptly smashed over the barbecue for it. At least he paid me for it. That was a really cool thing. But it was around the time that some kid offed himself listening to Ozzy, so he thought he'd be a bad dad if he was letting his kid listen to stuff like Suicidal Failure and shit like that on there. But that was my introduction, and from what arguably for most people is a phase. I'm sitting here at 53. And I still have an absolute love of the punk rock scene and punk rock music. It's where I'm at. It's what I've loved. I don't talk to friends that I had back in high school really at all, but there's guys that like Mark Unseen that I what I mean. It's been 20 years since we've toured together. I've got a friend for life right there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what punk rock does, and what punk rock gave them. We had something to believe in. It was more than just you're stuck with the kids in your neighborhood. You know what I mean? Punk rock actually built. We built our own neighborhood and decided to be friends through it. And it was it's just really fucking cool. I think it was it's what fit for me. And it's where I was supposed to be. You know what I mean? And I'm just really glad that I found it. I'm thankful for my buddy's cousin making a mixtape. That's it.
Dude, we all have that buddy's cousin making a mixtape. Mine was my friend's stepbrother. I got a mixtape from him. And dude, what's funny is I never really thought about, I've always said that like my first introduction to punk was like via Nirvana, getting into NoFX and then Rancid, like hearing them on the radio. But I think before that, you said the Sex Pistols, and I was just thinking about it. You said you were 12, and I was trying to think like, what was I doing at 12? I'm 100% certain that the first punk I ever heard was actually the Sex Pistols. That's crazy how that just unlocked in my brain. Like I was like, whoa, all this time I thought it was this music was the very first thing I ever heard. And not that it really matters much, but like that's interesting. But that album is important to a lot of people. It changed a lot of stuff, man.
Absolutely. I just it meant something more than the music to me. You know what I mean?
Right.
It was an introduction that I took, and I mean, as you and I were talking pre this, starting this thing, things that you follow on, that were important to you when you were younger, that kind of fall by the wayside and everything. And the Pistols are actually one of those that I still get a huge grin every time the song comes on. And I'm stoked they're out doing it with Carter right now. You know what I mean? I'm not one of those haters that says it has to be John. These guys are legends. They did something for the scene that don't ever discount it. You know what I mean? By telling them they shouldn't be out there playing those songs they wrote. I think it's fucking awesome. And I think it's great that if they can introduce more people to what they created back in the 70s, you know what I mean, here today, I think it's fucking great,
I mean, that's one of the reasons why I was so excited to talk to Colin is because like that dude, they were playing music in 1972, I think is what he said it was. Like, yeah. Not many people can say that, and the Sex Pistols would be the same kind of like area of the world, same time frame, and it changed all kinds of stuff. And you get to talk to these people, and you're like, man, I'm glad that they're all still doing it. You know, Rancid's my favorite band, always has been. That's never gonna change. I'm 43, and I just got a "Let's Go" tattoo on the back of my head, like big as shit.
Good man.
Like, yeah, so like and I just got that like a couple months ago, bro. Like it's never gonna go away, man. Like, you know, I love that band, and I think everybody should have the band that they connect with like that, because it'll get you through a lot of tough times. I mean, we've got a few bands that are that important to me, but like, you know, yeah, you should definitely have the stuff you can always go back to.
Well, I mean, those guys, I mean, Rancid, they're friends, you know, and I'm still a fanboy when it comes to them. And I'm getting my Rancid tattoo in about a week or so. I'm going to get the Life Won't Wait skull as a kneecapper.
Dude, that's going to suck and be fucking awesome at the same time.
Well, I tried to find something that was sissy enough to just be outlines. So go there, you know?
Dude, I'm telling you, there's a lot of spots in my body where I'm like, man, what can I do this? Actually, that's one of the reasons why I wanted the Let's Go fist, because it was like kind of an outline. I was like, all right, it'll fill in a big spot, and I won't have to sit there for 6 hours. Like, that's a good thing. Dude, tattoos hurt. People that say that they don't are full of crap. Like, they hurt. They suck.
Every one of them hurts, and it can depend on the day. Even, you know what I mean? That same spot may not hurt a week later. You know what I mean? But that day, for some reason, it's lighting you up. All tattoos, just to me, they've always seemed like a great idea till I'm in the fucking chair.
100%.
This was a terrible idea. I don't know why I decided to spend my time like this. You know,
yes, dude.
I told the artist I was working with the other day, the shop owner came by and asked how things were going, and I accused him of elder abuse. Said this was not cool, man. You know,
dude. I like watching people get their first tattoo, just watching them and being like, "Oh, they're about to hate this." And it's always some. I saw a dude go in and get something on the middle of his chest for his first tattoo, and I was like, "Buddy, you didn't want to get your arm done at least to feel what it's gonna be like?" I was like, "That's crazy."
Well, they're all going to go easy after that for him. You know, so
you're not wrong. What was your first tattoo?
First tattoo, boom, that little sucker right there, Waikiki Beach. I think 17 years old at Skin Deep, and I was out on vacation and decided to do something stupid and picked tribal off a wall. You know what I mean? And that was my first tattoo. That was the introduction to it. And unfortunately, I didn't stop with the tribal there. You know, I have a great collection of bad decisions. You know what I mean? But at one point, me and the guy that got me into punk rock, we were loaded. We were hanging out in my car, and he said, I was dropping him off at home. He says, I want to remember this night forever. All right. And he says, you know, we had such an amazing night. Let's go. Let's do something to commemorate this. And I said, well, get back in the car. Let's go see if a tattoo shop's open, you know? And he said, I got a better idea. He ran in his house. He came out with a coat hanger and a votive candle. And he lit the votive candle and put it on my dashboard, broke the coat hanger in half. And we each took half the coat hanger and tried to bend a P for punks, right? And we heated it up, branded each other with this thing. And he got me real fucking good. This thing, it just blew the skin away from the iron on there, and it just filled up with fluid afterwards, and nobody would tattoo over it to cover it. Oh, the best part too was that it was we were so loaded we didn't realize that it burns backwards. So I got like a 9 for no apparent reason going on somewhere. Right? Oh, there, right there, under that one. I got some secondary tribal because that's all the guy would do in '91 to go around it. He's like, there's no way I'm touching that. There's no way I'm going over that thing. It's too keloided. We're going to blow everything out. So he drew up the tribal to go around it. So it was the '90s. It was cool for a year. Right?
Dude, I've got some pretty bad tattoos. So I'm laughing with you, not at you, I promise. I've got some bad tattoos.
I got a lot of them, but I mean, since this is kind of where my diary to a certain degree, I mean, some of it's just for fun, you know what I mean? But other parts actually do mean something. And so I've got this thing where I won't cover them. I got what was supposed to be some Japanese kanji in green characters across my arm. It was supposed to say something stupid that I thought was prophetic at the time or something like that. And Ryoko from Thug Murder and Last Target, we were out on tour with her, and she was just like, I don't know what the fuck you think that means, but it's a combination of Chinese and Japanese, and it's just fucking gibberish, bro. And then I've always I took a huge ribbing from my buddy Tokyo Hero over it and everything. So when I decided to do something about it, I didn't want to cover it up. I wanted to remember that there was a time in my life that I was a fucking idiot and got another language that I don't even speak nor read tattooed on me. You know what I mean? I don't know. I just didn't want to erase that memory from my life. So I just did a blast over, and I got some things to go over on top of it. But you see the other one clear as day coming out underneath it, just because I don't, you know, I didn't want to forgive myself for doing that. I want that reminder, you know,
dude. That's like a new thing that I didn't know about. Or at least it's new to me anyways. The whole blast over. I was going to tell you, have you ever heard of blast overs? Like, I just heard about this like 6 months ago, dude. Like, I have a few things I'm going to blast right over, man. Like, and again, I don't necessarily want them gone all the way. Yeah. I just kind of want something else on top of it. Like, yeah. All I don't want is I don't want my bare skin showing too much, because I'm not really a fan of it. Like, I just don't like the way it looks on me, right? This guy comes in the tattoo shop I'm working at, and he's being a real big prick, dude. He's drunk. He's being an asshole. He's not drunk enough to where I can kick him out either, though. Like, I could just tell he's drunk, right? But I don't smell it. He's not being real shitty, but he's rude. He's being real rude. And he wanted to get kanji, and he wanted to get some strength or some nonsense tattooed on him, and he wanted it on his chest. And he wanted, like, the Japanese waves. And I don't remember how my guy did it, but he talked him into letting him color it with like yellow highlights. And I was like, yeah, whatever, man. And so my buddy's like, hey, come here. And he's like, I need you to, I was doing all the stencils and stuff. And he's like, go look this up. And so basically this guy's got golden shower in Japanese on his chest with like yellow waves all over it. And he thinks it means like strength or something. Like,
that's awesome,
dude. That's awesome. That's what you get, man.
I got a buddy who went to a bachelor party they were doing tattoos at, and he thought he was getting his fiance's name, and it literally says Kung Fu.
Yes, yeah. Dude. Silly tattoos are the best. I watched a guy get and this is back when The Rock was like very, very much not who he is now, but he was still real famous. But this guy messed up. I don't know how he messed it up, but he messed up a floor in a guy's house that we were redoing the floor. And the guy that was working with us, it was like our foreman guy, was a tattoo artist as well. And it was going to cost him thousands of dollars to fix this stuff. And he was like, hey man, you can either pay for this, because he's like, this is a lot of money. He's like, or I get to tattoo whatever I want on you wherever I want. And the guy's like, I don't have the money. And it was a asshole move to make this guy make this decision. But he's like, all right, then I'm gonna tattoo you and I'll pay for it. And he did, he paid for it, but like, he tattooed, this guy had blonde hair like mine, bro. And he tattooed the Rock eyebrow on that guy, like with like dark brown ink, dude. I imagine that to this day, if he's still kicking around, he's got that silly as you smell what the Rock is cooking eyebrow.
That's solid. That's solid.
So what do you do outside of musical stuff? So what are you doing these days to professionally? You're still in the music industry or what?
I do little things every once in a while. I've got a lot of really, really good friends that are so kind that they step in every once in a while and slightly slow my rapid descent into obscurity. And so that's really nice. You know, the guys from Noise, had me come out at Punk Rock Bowling a couple of years back and do a song with them and stuff. Just got out of the studio a couple of weeks ago doing some vocals for a band called Hunting Lions, which they're definitely something to look out for here out of Northern California. Definitely something to see. They've got Greg McAtee from the Swinging Utters in there, and they're all a bunch of real big heavy hitters from our area out here. They got together with this band. They've been around for a little bit, but recently they are really picking up steam with everything they're doing. And so I was really honored to do that. And so I've just been doing little guesting things. The Hellflowers as well. I did a Cox Bar cover with the Hellflowers, and it was really neat. It was the first duet that I ever got to do. Singing with Lars and the Bastards isn't necessarily a duet. You know what I mean? So
right.
Really fun to trade lines back and forth with Christina from the Hellflowers on this one. And they knocked it out of the park. They did a really, really good job of that. And their producer, Dave Klein, was nuts. None of us kind of knew what to expect and what he was going to do vocally on this one. And he meshed everything up together and made it really cool. So that's great. And then The Forgotten is looking to get back together in 26. And I'll get more into that later, because I want to get back to the question that you asked, which was about now and what's going on now with that. And so the way that I make my money is sales, marketing, and advertising.
Oh, cool.
And that is what I do, and it's what I've been doing for a long time, since basically since I came off the road. Back in like 2011, I think it was, or something like that. And so I got into that. I had no idea what I was getting into. I was just looking for a job. I mean, I've got no education and no skills or anything like that, because I chose not to. I was too busy chasing the party, and then I was out on tour for a good 20 years and stuff like that. And so all of a sudden you wake up one day and things are a lot different. And so I took this job not realizing that it was a perfect fit. I had sold a band from a 3-chord band from the garage to worldwide touring, and worked out, did all the margins and everything like that for budgets and travel and merchandise and everything like that. And I mean, that's just what you do. And so I never thought that it actually could be applied in another direction. And then this came up, and it fit like a glove. You know what I mean? What I do is I drive around and talk to people all day. That's it,
dude. That's awesome.
What I mean. And it's a good thing. Sometimes, you know what I mean, we're a good fit for each other. Sometimes we're not, but it's always a great conversation. And personally, I like that what I'm doing, even though my company is like basically all of Northern California and stuff, one branch of it is really dedicated to San Jose, California. And that's a place that it's where I live. It's what I've invested in. It's my community. And so it's really cool to work with a lot of the business owners out here on a lot of the events that go on and everything, and ensure their success for our city's success. And so it's kind of a cool thing, at least for me.
Dude, that's the universe telling you made the right decision, because that's exactly how I get everywhere that I was a bartender and a waiter for most of my life. Mm-hmm. And so it's really easy for me to not know you and just spark up a conversation. It's real. I don't have a problem talking to anybody. And that's how I'm good at, or I don't know, I think I'm okay at doing this, but like, that's how I am able to do this. And, same thing, man. It's like, you just slipped into another job title doing the same job kind of thing. But
it basically is, you know what I mean? And unlike other things that I've done in the past, they're not killing me with a dress code or anything like that,
Nice.
Not that that's that important to me. You know what I mean? I definitely see, job is a job. I think, at least for me personally, all jobs have been straight jobs, I should say. You know what I mean? Music aside, they've all been acting jobs. You give me certain to be a certain person for so many hours of the day, and I do that, and that's our agreement in our relationship. And because of that, then I can go live my life the way I fucking wanna. You know what I mean? But I need that scratch to live my life the way I fucking want it, because there's some things I want that actually take some money. You know what I mean? And so, which is also why, admittedly, I am not punk and not punk rock. I used to think I was as a kid, but you know what? I enjoy having a roof over my head. You know what I mean? I hope that I'm not striking out completely. You know what I mean? Being left in the corner of an old folks home when I'm 80 and stuff like that. And those sort of beliefs kind of take you straight out of that real punk ideal. You know what I mean? I'm just a guy who I know what I like to listen to. I know what I like to play. I know what I feel comfortable wearing, but I would never have the hubris to tell you that I'm punk. Maybe I was punk rock when I was a younger man, because the punk rock is the fashion and the music. You know what I mean? But punk is the ethic. You know what I mean? And to be truly punk, you know what I mean? I don't think you could, I personally don't think it's that sustainable. You know what I mean? It's a hell of an idea. You know what I mean? And I love the hell out of it, and I wish I could be. But as it is, I'd be a complete phony to tell you that I lived a punk ethic in life. You know what I mean? Because there's some things I do just because I have to, or because I want to obtain a goal, you know?
I don't know. I don't think that takes you out of that, honestly, man. Although I guess it depends on who you're speaking to. I think it is very subjective. There's those kids that are like, you can't have a job, you can't live, you got to live, you got to squat and all this shit. That's nothing punk rock about that, man. Do it. What's punk rock is like, oh, I have to get up and take my kids to school. I fucking do it. Like that's punk rock to me. But like I said, it depends on who you're talking to, man.
Well, and that's the thing, is that everybody's got their own opinion of what punk is or isn't. And I don't know, if I was going to give an opinion, I'd say it was organic and fairly personal to a lot of people and stuff like that. And so I'd be the last guy to tell you what should be, you know what I mean? Punk or whatnot, which is why I just kind of take myself out of the equation on that one. You know what I mean? If other people want to use labels, they can use the labels, and I don't care who considers themselves, punk rock or not, or if they damn me for not being punk rock or say that I am or whatever. I just don't give a shit. I'm just kind of at this stage in the game, you know what I mean? There's nothing to prove, you know what I mean? I'm just a happy guy doing my thing, you know what I mean? And I'll leave that to all the great minds on social media to let me know what punk rock is, you know?
Hell yeah. Well, that actually just hit the nail on the head, man. You're like, I don't give a shit. Like, you just get there, you go. You're good. At least from my perspective. And it's funny too, because as you're saying that stuff, I'm like agreeing, because I do agree with what you're saying. But I also just did a live stream, like condemning another channel's like top 10 modern punk bands list, because none of the fucking bands were punk bands. But like, but in that video, I also laughed at myself multiple times. I was like, this is stupid, but it's fun to talk about. Like, I do think there's some people that take the shit way too seriously. Like, it's my whole life, but it's also like, bro, I'm not going to argue with you about Crass. I don't care. Like, I don't give a shit. Like, I don't go listen to whatever you want, feel however you want. That's fine. That doesn't bother me. Yeah, it is a funny thing.
It is a funny thing, and it's just so subjective. I mean, look at what built punk rock. You know what I mean? Do you think that a band like Television or MC5 could come out today and people would consider them punk rock?
Right. I mean,
but no. And they're what we're all built off of. You know what I mean? Bands like glam rock bands like Slade that influenced all the best heavy metal and punk rock that is out there today. You know what I mean? A lot of people, we give them the punk rock nod. You know what I mean? Every Suede head loves them and everything like that. You know what I mean? But, would that be considered that way if it came out today? And so it is extremely subjective. You know what I mean? Right. Everybody's got their own reasons for what they see is punk or whatever. And I just think it's rad to watch something that was kind of invented in my lifetime grow legs and walk. You know what I mean? And so I really enjoy just the whole thing and seeing it go, and all the different things that are considered punk rock under that umbrella, you know?
And it is an umbrella. And it, like, even with, I've told people in my record store, they're like, hey, give me some good punk rock recommendations. And I'm like, well, first off, I'm going to give you like my definition of punk recommendations. Like, this is what I like to listen to. But like, you might like something, but as I do this channel and I learn more, because I'll give you the very quick version of this. I discovered punk by myself. I didn't have family or friends that were really into it. And so for a long time, I was very limited on like who I even listened to. My knowledge was very limited. I just found what I liked. I rode with that, and that's all it was. And when I started this channel, I realized, I don't know that I have a ton of knowledge. Now I do within my own specific little world, my ecosystem. Right. But like outside of that, I don't. So I started doing these videos to learn, just like I am trying to show the people I'm doing it for me too. And one band that I've never in my life would have thought influenced punk as much as it absolutely has is the Rolling Stones. Holy shit. All of the original, like all the old school punk bands, all of them have Rolling Stones influence. There's not one you can point to that I can think of that doesn't. And the one that really blew my mind was when I was listening to The Clash. I'm like, this sounds like the Rolling Stones kind of. I'm like, no, there's no way. I think I'm missing this. I go back. I got a record store, so I go grab some Rolling Stones records, play them. I'm like, son of a bitch, this is all through this music. And because it's a sliding scale. You start over here where it's not really punk, and you get over here where it is. But where did it become it? I don't know. I don't know where to tell you. It's up to you.
Well, I mean, you had mentioned that you just talked to Colin from Cockspar. And if I'm not mistaken, when those guys first started, who they wanted to be was Rolling Stones or Thin Lizzy. And,
right.
that's the sound that they were going for. They even went to, I believe they recorded their first thing at the studio that Thin Lizzy used and stuff like that. But that's obviously not their sound. You know,
right.
Huge influence, but not their sound. And so, yeah, I mean, you gotta give a lot of credit a lot of places. You know what I mean?
Dude, the older I get, the more I realize I just like rock and roll. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you know what, that is why I personally, and I think a lot of other people, love the Drowns so much. Is the Drowns are not afraid to put rock and roll first and forward in their brand of punk rock, and god damn it if it isn't the most refreshing thing in the world.
I did not think you were going to say the Drowns, but shout out to the Drowns. I need to get back in touch with those guys because I love talking to those dudes.
Yeah,
and I'm compiling a list of like my top 10 favorite bands to see live right now, and they're firmly planted at the top of that list. Like they're a really good live band, and you know,
yes.
But yeah, dude,
they leave it all out there, man. You know what I mean? If you were gonna get your tickets worth out of them, that is not a question.
The older I get, the more I like different kinds of like punk rock, whatever you want to call it, right? Just like rock and roll music, man. Like I'm liking a bunch of that older, I guess you call it in between like glam and like pub rock stuff. There's like bands like Judah, Slade's a great band. Like there's just all these bands that have this like particular sound. Bro, I can't get enough of it, man. I'm sure that's where, I mean, a lot of Motorhead influence even. Like, dude, it's just, yeah. I mean, there's so many bands outside of the Mohawk shit that I love so much, man.
It took me a while on that, you know what I mean? As well, when I was first getting into things, you know what I mean? The Clash was too soft for me. And so I think I made it to my 20s before I discovered the absolute beauty of the Clash and that they are not soft in the least bit. And I was completely off base. I had something built up in my mind off of the handful of songs that I had heard. And at that point for me, if it wasn't GBH, Exploited, Bad Religion, or Misfits, well then fuck you, it really didn't matter. You know what I mean? And so, but that's continued, you know, and I think it's important to always be looking at new music, whether that music happened 20 years prior or whether it's just coming out today. It's great. It's refreshing. And, you know, it gets me stoked. You know what I mean? It really gets me stoked for the future to see where things, you know, are heading and people with their, you know, different ideas towards this stuff. It's just, it's great now that you don't have to pay 10 grand to walk into a recording studio and do something. And people can actually do it at home and make it so DIY now. We're just getting so much more, and the creativity is just growing more and more and more. It's great.
Oh, dude, 100%. And I had a similar thing with the Clash. Like, Rancid's been my favorite band since I was 15, and I didn't even like the Clash until like almost about a year ago. Somebody pointed out, they're like, "How do you not like the Clash?" I'm like, "I don't know, I just don't." And I was listening to a Rancid song on a stream, and a guy says, "Dude, it's weird because they sound so much like the Clash, and you love Rancid." And I was like, "Dude, they don't sound nothing like the Clash." And he's like, "What are you talking about?" And what it was is I'd never heard "Give Him Enough Rope." I'd never heard it. And so I played it, dude, and I had the fortune of filming it. So you could watch my face change. Dude. I felt like a giant dummy. I was like, I played like maybe 10 seconds of the very first track, and I just paused it. And I was like, "Oh, you gotta be kidding me." I was like, "How did I not hear this?" But, you know, like you said, it's a journey, dude. The map is just a map. You go however you go, you know.
I was really glad that I had discovered and fell in love with the Clash, though, when I got a chance to meet Strummer, because that would have been a completely wasted experience if I was still in that stupid mindset, you know what I mean, of being closed-minded and just relying on the little bit of knowledge I had on the band and everything like that. We were we knew that we were going to miss seeing Strummer and the Mescaleros. The Forgotten was out on tour. We knew that we were going to miss them in San Francisco. And so we were coming back from, I think, about a month and a half out on the road. And we get a call from someone who says, if you want to change your course, getting back up to the Bay Area, cruise through LA tonight because we'll put you on the list for the Mescaleros over the Troubadour. Fuck, this is amazing, man. You know what I mean? So we're we are road worn. We're a mess. All right. But we pull up and we hit the show and we're so excited and everything. And they put us up in this little, backstage room at the Troubadour and stuff so that we could, have quick access to drinks and a bathroom and all this other good stuff. And after the show, Strummer comes up there. And I'm like, this is amazing. I'm going nuts. And I want to try to find a way to say hello to him and stuff. And I'm in this circle as we're all passing a joint around to each other. And every time I go to talk to him, this guy who played a cop in Straight to Hell was next to me. And he's telling me about his experiences with Joe and how well he knows him. And I'm just like, shit, man, I'm trying to. And all I can get is just here you go, buddy. And passing the joint over to him. But I can't get any conversation. Damn it. And so I finally commit. I'm scared as hell. And I commit. I'm going to go over and I'm going to say hi to Joe. So I go walking over there and they're backstage for end tables. They use these oversized dice. So they're only about 12 inches high. And I tripped right fucking over it. He turns and looks see me coming towards him. I fucking hit it. I eat shit. I try to walk myself out of it like, I meant to do that. And it was fucking horrible. And I was so embarrassed. I didn't say another fucking word to him. And I thought I completely missed my opportunity. And then when they finally threw us all out at the end of the night, I was coming out of the bathroom and I caught him right in front of the stage that he had just rocked. And I wasn't going to let it go. I knew in my mind, I said, don't say you're in a band, Gordy, because everybody who meets this guy says they're in a band. Plus you're in LA. So literally everybody is in a band. Okay. So don't keep your fucking yapper shut there. So I just walked up to the man, extended my hand and I said, Joe, thanks for being you. Because if you weren't, I don't think I'd be me, so thank you. And I shook his hand and walked away, patting myself on the back. Hey, you didn't say you were in a band. Get home and I pressed play on my answer machine. And one of my buddies who was at the San Francisco show with him the night before said, hey, I was hanging out with Joe last night backstage and we were talking about things. And I told him about your band and he thinks The Forgotten is like the coolest name for a new band trying to do an older style of punk rock and everything. And I just wanted to pass that on to you because, I thought it was kind of cool. And I was like, motherfucker. So I actually could have had a genuine conversation with this guy if I wasn't so stuck on not saying I was in a fucking band. It was, missed opportunity. But you know what? I got to say what I wanted to say to the guy. You know what I mean? And he is a true talent. And his songs still give me chills. You know what I mean? His words alone give me chills. And so I was just happy for the opportunity.
Dude. Yes. Yes. And but yes. So I feel your pain, but I'm also really excited about that story. That was an awesome story. I had a similar experience with Jesse Michaels. I got to go and do an interview at his house. I got to go hang out with him. And that's the only in-person interview I've ever done, bro. It's so weird that that's the one, right? But I went to Vegas to go do he was doing the punk rock museum thing, and I was wanting to be there the first time he did it. I wanted to be there, and I just recently lost my job out of nowhere, and it was forcing me to do this full time. And I had a lot of panic attacks and just a lot of stuff going on. I thought I was okay. So I'm there. He does the whole thing. I'm filming it all. I'm having a great time. I'm on cloud 9, bro. It's Jesse Michaels, man. This is awesome. We get to the end, dude, where he's taking pictures of people, and out of nowhere, I had a full-on, I have no idea what triggered it, panic attack. I fall on the floor, and I'm sobbing. I can't breathe. Dude, he's 4 feet from me, and he's just looking at me, and I'm like, why is this happening right now? And then that thought creeps in my head, and I can't get Dude, it took every bit of everything I had in my body to get myself together, clean myself up, and be like, hey, I'm sorry about that. And I was just like, I'm getting the fuck out of here, man. I was like, the fact that he was willing to talk to me after that, I couldn't believe it, man. I was like, dude, he's very nice. Because he must have been like, what is going on with this guy? I mean, it was out of my control, man. But it was.
Dude, I am feeling for you hard on that one, man. That's oh God, you don't have control over those situations, man. No. The switch gets thrown and it's on. You know what I mean? And so that's fucked, man. I'm sorry.
I mean, dude, the way I look at things is I've had a lot of loss in my life, as I'm sure you have. I don't control this stuff, man. So I don't try to I don't get to where I go, I try to figure out maybe I can learn from it. But I've spent a lot of hours trying to figure out what was it that triggered that, because I have no idea, man. I was in a really great space mentally. I thought, I was in a place that I wanted to be. I was around people that I wanted to be around. I was in the punk rock museum, the coolest fucking place on earth. Have you been over there yet?
Yeah, I've got 2 jackets hanging up in there, and I think they grabbed one of our set lists of us and the Casualties and Misfits over at Lupo's and Providence is up in one of the cases and stuff. But as a matter of fact, I was just there a week ago today. I was in Vegas, and so I was there for a family wedding, and there's no way that I'm touching down without going there. The people that are behind it, Lisa, Mona, Sharky, Mike, you know what I mean? All just stellar, absolutely stellar human beings, and they curated the hell out of that thing. I think they really knocked it out of the park and did an excellent job putting that whole thing together. It's nuts. And so, yeah, the wife and I went over there, took another tour. I think it was maybe our third or fourth time there, but took another tour, sat down in their pub and, tipped well and tried to keep everything going, threw up a few stickers and left a few behind for other people and everything. And it's great. I mean, all the history that place has, they did a really stellar job, and it's constantly evolving. Which I like too. They're not keeping anything the same. Every time I go there, there's something different. So there's always a reason. You know what I mean? Whenever you're in Vegas, don't think I already saw that. You know what I mean? I don't need to go there. It's worth checking out. It's definitely a cool thing.
100%. Yeah, my very first time leaving Texas, I was to go to Vegas, and I went to that place, and my wife went with me, and I ended up getting a lifetime pass given to me because I bought Mike's first press of Walk Among Us from that record store they have in there. Yeah. Dude, I had to call the wife to get that one. I was like, hey, can I buy this? Like it's she's like, what is it? And I told her, she's like, oh yeah, that's kind of important. And I was like, at least to me in my world it is, yes.
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, just grab it. And it's one of I have a couple of records that I will never ever get rid of, and that's one of them. That place is amazing.
Killer.
Dude, it's so rad.
Score. That's a fucking score right there, man.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Yeah, and I got to take it to my buddy's house, who is like one of my favorite musicians of all time, and we cleaned it and listened to it on his really nice stereo. It was just like a really cool experience, man. Shout out Chris Klink, dude. Like that's my guy, dude. Yeah, man. Everything about that museum is great, though, and it does change a lot. It evolves I've been there, I think 5 times plus like one like quick trip in. So and it's never been the same. It's been different every time I've been in there. So. Yeah, it's ever evolving. So let's talk about your bands, because that's really what people thought. Like, dude, shut up and talk about the band. Sorry, guys, I'm so sorry. I talk a lot. People know that. Okay, let's talk about the Forgotten. How did that band start? When did you guys start? I love your music, so I can't. The news of possible new stuff is like, yes, please. So how did that band get started? Why? What's the story of the Forgotten?
Story of the Forgotten. I was in a band called Slip, and I think I still got the tattoo.
Let's go.
That was the album cover. It was called Commitment, and me and the guitar player got that on our lips and pulled him down for it. But you know what they say about tattooing a girl's name on you. You know what I mean? And we had the added arrogance of calling the album Commitment. So you knew that we were going to break up real soon, right?
Yeah, of course.
So anyways, we were doing that for a few years and everything. And as that band fell apart, one of our guys in the band had financed this other band from the peninsula here in California called Vintage 46, had worked a deal with them to get their first bit of music out, to release an EP. And so as we were throwing this guy out of the band, out of his house, and out of California, basically, I called up the guitar player and singer Craig from Vintage 46, and I said, hey bud, bad news, we're sending Sean packing, and he's going to be leaving in a week to go to Washington or Oregon, I forget where he's going. I said, if you want any shot at getting your money back from him, that he took, you need to jump on this now. And he says, Gordy, I'm down at, it's just me and my drummer. We've lost our bass player, and things aren't going well, so I really don't even care. We're just going to chalk it up to you win some, you lose some, and that's it, and I'll look at the next thing. And I said, well, wait a minute, I'm missing a drummer and a guitar player. And so Vintage 46 and Slip joined together, and we didn't take any Slip songs, but we did take a couple of Vintage 46 songs just because he and the drummer knew them, and we could jump on those fairly easy. So we regurgitated, I think, one of those on the first EP we did with TKO Records. But when we got together, it was a beautiful thing with timing. So we got together, we decided to do this band. The drummer, Shay Roberts, the name was a stickler to him. We were trying to decide what the name of the band should be. And he was a great ego at the time. He said, look, guys, I really want to do this. I love this. You know what I mean? I've got this idea. I think that we're all on the same vibe as far as the music that we want to do and where we want to go with it. But the band has to be called The Forgotten. And I'm just not wavering on that. And all of us just wanted to play music and didn't care that much. And we're like, whatever. And there was also a one of the bands I grew up to here in San Jose was this band called Los Olvidados, which is The Forgotten in Spanish. And so I thought it was a nice little tip of the hat to those that came before us here in San Jose. You know what I mean? As we were going to be the new guys doing it, you know, new guys back in '97. And so we decided to go with it. We took Shay's suggestion on the name and everything. And I think it was 4 months into banging out some songs, we got a demo out that our guitar player, Craig, put in front of Mark Rainey. And Mark Rainey was just starting to get this label together called TKO. He had just moved out from, I believe, Virginia to San Francisco. And he had an idea of the bands that he wanted to approach with a certain sound. And so he grabbed us, and I think that we might have been like the second or something like that release that came out on TKO Records was our single. But at the same time he grabbed us, he was grabbing One Man Army and the Reducers and you know, the Randoms, and you know that whole, you know, stable that TKO Records was known for back in the day, that was so strong and so powerful. I mean, people would literally at record stores not know what band they were buying because all of these bands were so new. But if it said TKO Records on the back, they knew they could count on it, you know? And so it was neat. I mean, he was, Mark was a visionary. I mean, we all laughed at him for signing. We're like, dude, this is a street punk label, and you signed some ska band called the Rhythm Doctors. What are you doing? Well, the Rhythm Doctors are called the Agrolites now. Okay, that's just Wagner's band. You know,
good.
And he was like 18 at the time doing the Rhythm Doctors and stuff like that.
Oh, I didn't know that.
But Mark had such vision for what he wanted to do and knew where he wanted to go. And it's amazing that every band that he touched still has legs today. You know what I mean? People remember their names and everything from what he built and everything. And you know, no matter what The Forgotten has done on our own and everything, and separate from TKO, we will always be the one song that people will always know from us is Fist Up, because it was on a TKO comp. And that thing, TKO was just so prolific at the time. They were everywhere, and it was so cool. And I mean, we'd play shows where kids would come up afterwards and say, I dug that last song that you played. I had no idea that you guys were the ones that did Fist Up. I just showed up because so-and-so was playing, so I was coming to see them, but you guys have gained a new fan. And so, I mean, I couldn't go on enough about what a great time that was for the Bay Area, and with TKO Records and all those other bands that, you know, that were working with us at that time. And so that there was the beginning of The Forgotten and how it came to be. And we've had had a few lineup changes since then, you know. We went about 20 years being active, and it's been just this last 7 that it hasn't been too active. I think like 2008 was our last European tour and things like that. But everybody has the itch. We're all in different states now, you know, and so it will make it more difficult to get together on things. And so things like, you know, 2-month tours and stuff like that are not going to happen. Right. But we're going to pull this back together here in 2026. We've got 3 songs that have been sitting on a hard drive in a studio for a couple of years now. And we get in there and tweak them every once in a while and have some fun with them. And they haven't been sitting there because we're some musical geniuses or, you know, something like that, and we just keep on making them. No, we're amazing or anything. It's The Forgotten, and it sounds like The Forgotten, and we just haven't found a home for it. And so that's why it's been still sitting on a hard drive. And so now that we've decided to do something, we're actually going to start reaching out and seeing who might want to work with us on this, find the best way to put it out. Will it be just us? Will it be a split? Will we release a best of album sort of thing, or an anthology? Because there's not that much of it, you know what I mean, of The Forgotten, and add that as the bonus new tracks. I mean, I've got no idea where this is going to lead on there. But but we're starting the idea for it. You know what I mean? The important part is that everybody's interested. Everybody's in.
Yes.
So we can definitely make this happen. And so we're looking forward to it. And we're really hoping that that the places that we're hoping to play next year want to work with us. We're looking at mainly a lot of festivals and stuff. And so we're hoping that there might be a small corner of their world that we might be able to fit into or something like that. I mean, arguably, we have done nothing to promote the band, our music, or anything like that in a long time. You can look at our Facebook page was probably touched back in like 2018 or something like that. But we you know what I mean? It's only just been because life kind of moves on and we had nothing new to talk about. You know what I mean? Now we've got something new to talk about, and we're really, really excited. You know what I mean? To be getting back there and be able to do this again, to see our friends, to make new friends. You know what I mean? And just to get back involved. There's something about the that camaraderie of the scene that just I don't know, lights your blood on fire, man. You know what I mean? More so than listening to music at home or hitting the local gigs and stuff like that. Being out there without a safety net is just, you know what I mean, with your with your closest out there. You know what I mean? There's something to it, man. You know what I mean? And we all really miss it, and we just can't wait to get back to doing it.
I am incredibly excited. TKO also, just to be, or I don't know if they're still doing a lot of stuff, but all the stuff I've ever owned off TKO has been excellent, dude. One Man Army's that's a very important band to me.
Huge, absolutely huge.
I love that band, dude.
Yeah,
like,
same here.
How many releases did y'all do with TKO?
We did 3 with TKO. Well, 3 full lengths with TKO,
okay.
And then a couple of compilations with them, and then they released our first single. We started with a single with them. Class Separation was the single, and we did that, and I believe 97, and then 98 saw our first full length of Veni Vidi Vici.
Okay.
And then after Veni Vidi Vici, we followed, I believe, 99 or 2000, I think it was, with Keep the Corpses Quiet.
Yeah, I got those 2 here. So
okay.
I was trying to figure out what year. I couldn't remember what years they were. I thought you had one that I didn't have on me, and I was like, that's what I was looking at. So also,
we do have a self-titled with TKO that we did in 2008, and so on that self-titled one, 2008 for it, and that one, we gave it no name. We just called it The Forgotten, and it had been a while since we had released something at that point, so we kind of went with the old Phoenix theme on it, as coming back, and doing something. And so I guess we're a little over over eager on that one, because we should be doing that now.
Oh yeah, maybe.
But that was a fun album to do too. And then we did one full length on BYO Records as well. And they're amazing. Nice. With absolutely love working with the Stearns. They're incredible people, and I mean, our scene would not be what it is around the world without the Stearns. They have really contributed so much. It's absolutely ridiculous, and they're people that never forget where they came from, and that's kind of rare in this day and age.
I've only met them once, very briefly, but they were very nice. There's a lot of people that I'm eager to speak with, man, and like just become friendly with. I do similar things, in my part of the country. You have a little label and whatnot, so I understand what it's like to put all your. My point being is that I understand what it's like to put everything you got into something and to believe in it a lot, and these guys clearly still do. And yeah, I mean, they're the ones that do punk rock bowling, so I mean,
yes.
So I mean, like that is probably one of the coolest things I've ever experienced in my life. I just went to my first one this year.
Like, oh, you did?
Yeah, that shit was nuts, dude. Like
this last year was a good year, wasn't it?
Dude, it was awesome. I was really fortunate because 3 of the bands that I've worked with were playing. So so Bullshit Detector, I've done a lot of stuff with those guys, and I helped put out the Dylan Disaster and the Revelry LP, and then I was co-release with the band for Before Dawn, which is Dave from Clip 45, Perry from the Templars, Matt from Mad Sin. So like I got to go see like people that I know and love, and I got to be at my first event and see these people. It was amazing, man. It was awesome. And when you were saying earlier, like playing with Lars and then like being around Rancid all the time, still like fanboying out. That's exactly how I am with Bullshit Detector. They're one of my favorite bands. I put out their stuff and I'll do it until they don't want to anymore. I love that band so much. They're also amazing dudes. So like their music is amazing, but like those guys, I've known them for a long time. Great people. So
I got to see them this year at Punk Rock Bowling, but then last month they played with Youth Brigade over at a small club in Santa Cruz called Moe's Alley, and so it was really neat to be able to see them on a smaller.
You got to go to that?
In a more intimate platform and everything, so that was really cool. And in Punk Rock Bowling, it's out of what they've had. This year was the 25th one, and I have been to 23 of them. I started at the second one, and it's amazing to see the house that the Stearns have built off of this. Because when it first got going, and I mean, I don't want to speak for them, and you'd have to ask them for the real story, but how it felt to me was that this was a place where a few of the touring punk bands at the time would get together in Vegas on the invite from the Stearns and Mike from NoFX, and we just kind of talked story about what venues were working, what venues weren't working, who to use if you're going to Europe, or Japan or something, just kind of helping each other out, just that whole DIY ethic, and how can we support each other, and all that sort of thing. And attached to that, to make it fun, we'd hit the bowling alley over at the Gold Coast, for a couple of games, and maybe Bouncing Souls would play on the floor at the Double Down, and that was your show. And so It's amazing to watch it go from there. And we thought we hit big time when the show happened at the Huntridge Theater in Vegas, and oh my, this is we've actually gotten off site to a gig now, and a couple more of those happened, and then everything went in-house over at Sam's Town. Then they explored outdoor venues over at the Sunset Station, and then it's just been changing and changing and changing until it has become what you're seeing today, drawing in like 15,000 people and 3 days of amazing festival bands. And the minute that festival closes down, 7 clubs on Fremont Street open back up, and we're doing it all again till 4:00 in the morning. And it's just really turned into the best fucking family reunion that we've got. And keep in mind that I'm not trying to put down any other fest by saying that
right.
Punk Rock Bowling or anything. It's just the one that I'm most familiar with and have followed since that early and everything like that. So it holds a definite certain place, for me out there on it. But it's really cool watching the evolution of it and how everything's become. And this year, watching the kids at the festival police their own deal. I'm sure you saw the bit with the guy with the bolts on his back. And a bunch of us old heads, we knew he was there, and we saw what was going on, and we were hoping that things would be handled in a proper way. And as a couple of murmurs were going around, all of a sudden we see the festival attendees, these younger guys, start screaming, "Get out of our scene," and backing this guy up. They tried to talk to him. At no point did he turn around and try to buy another shirt or, make any concessions on anything. And I can't speak for whatever their conversation was with each other, but from what I saw, they policed their own scene and walked him right out the front door and said, "There's no place for you here in what we're doing." And that to me was just one of the coolest things for Punk Rock Bowling and for our punk scene. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is that nobody's waiting around for anybody else to make a decision for them. These kids got out there and dealt with their own thing. And, the guy was probably pretty lucky that the kids handled it and pushed him out the front door, because, if some people took him out through the back door, things may have been different for him. You know what I mean? And so, I think that things were handled properly. You know what I mean? It was just a really refreshing thing to see.
Hell yes, dude! It's cool to hear all these stories. I didn't know that Bullshit Detector was on your radar, but I guess so if you know the Stearns and all those guys. That's cool. You got to go see them play at that smaller show too. I would love to do that. I'm, big fan. Yes, getting that guy off the fairgrounds, like off the premises is the word I was trying to think of. Priority, man. Like, you can't have people that represent that stuff, that kind of thought process, that hatred, whatever you want to call it, that ignorance, whatever it is. Yeah, they can't be around. I literally just forced a lady out of my store the other day because I wasn't going to sell to her because she was saying racist stuff. And I had the foresight to like film it because I really was trying to protect myself from like bad online stuff. And I put a clip of it up and I was like, and I had some people that hit me up and they were like, I guess, I don't know. I was like, what do you think I was going to say to a person like this? I'm not going to let you stay in here, man. Like,
right.
And I'm just a regular guy, but I got standards, morals, character. I got all that shit. And you're not going to do that around me, man. It's unnecessary, dude. Like,
no, I'm a man of few beliefs. You know what I mean? People don't change beliefs, but they change ideas. They're always open to the next great idea. So I try to be a man of ideas. You know what I mean? So that I'm always able to change with times, with everything, and not be so arrogant to assume that I know everything in my ways the right way and everything like that. But I mean, beliefs. You don't hit women, you don't mess with children, and you don't play that racist game. You know what I mean? And those are beliefs, you know what I mean, that aren't going to change on me. Everything else is just a strong idea, and I'm open to new ones. But those ones, unwavering. It's not going to fly with me if you go against that.
Nor should it. We shouldn't. We got this weird thing, like, and I don't want to go on some kind of political tangent, but like our country's at a weird like tipping point right now, man. There's a lot of stuff that's going on right now that's being allowed and said in public, and that it blows my mind that more people aren't getting the shit beat out of them, like in public. I don't know, man. I hope that we're able to correct and get back on the right direction for our people, man. Good punk rock music is on its way. I can tell you that much. There's a lot of stuff.
I sincerely hope it does that, because that's been a point of contention with me, that during the Reagan-Thatcher era, it spawned amazing punk rock. And you know what I mean? So far, these things haven't, and everything. And I'm with you on where the country's at. I think it's kind of the most important thing is that we forgot how to disagree and how to debate. I don't care what side of things that you're on. Everybody's doing it wrong right now. There doesn't always have to be a winner. There can be an exchange of information and an exchange of thoughts on things. You don't always have to have a definitive winner in everything. And I think that's maybe where we came off track. You know what I mean? Is that
right?
I have to win. If I can't just have my point of view, you have to succumb to it, man. You know what I mean?
Crazy. It's so weird.
That's strange.
That's a point that I haven't heard made, that I've also thought that not a lot of people are saying, though, is that we don't always have to, like you said, have a winner and a loser in a conversation. It is just a conversation. Yeah. Not everything is a competition. It's like, well, no, I just want you to know this is how I feel. Maybe you think about it later. Like, that's how I operate. Is typically I take things in, and I'm pretty stubborn. So I'll be like, nah, but I think about it. And then I often change my mind on things because I think about it and I go, well, and it could be anything, food, music, movies, whatever. But like, at this particular time, we're talking about politics. So maybe if I say something to somebody, it's hard because you want to say like, no, these people are wrong. I don't want them around. And that's true. But I also don't want them to not ever change. And for that to happen, you have to be patient. You have to be willing to let them say their piece. And a lot of people don't want that to happen on either side, our side, their side, right side, wrong side, whatever. People don't want to let the other side say their piece. And so you have to be willing to do that so that maybe they can deflate a little bit and maybe calm down a little bit enough to listen. And it's hard to do that. It's very hard to be patient when people stop saying stuff like that.
These types of things are a kind of a journey. You're not going to you're not going to debate somebody on that are polar opposites on something, and one party's going to say, "Oh shit, you just said something that blew my mind. I'm doing a 180." It's not going to happen. But if everybody practices being as decent as they fucking can, you know what I mean? There's a thing called leading by example. That you know what I mean? Sometimes people might look and say, "Gosh, why does everyone seem to like that guy?" You know what I mean? Why do I feel good when I'm around this person or something like that? You know what I mean? And then they start picking up that, you know what I mean? They may want to emulate that. You know what I mean? Maybe it's because this guy isn't carrying this fucking cross of hatred, dragging it around behind him the entire fucking time. You know what I mean? And, maybe I could free myself up and actually, you know what I mean? Have a happier life if I wasn't so worried about X or something like that. I mean, who knows? You know what I mean? It's just it's just kind of wild. The temperature of our society is just it's new territory, man. You know,
it is very new territory. I was thinking that also, I wanted to say this before I forget. If you notice that I'm fidgeting a lot, please don't be offended. I have really bad ADHD, and if I sit really still, my brain will go off this way. But if I fidget a little bit, I can pay better attention. So
no
my
worries,
my apologies. I have a bunch of shit on my desk that I just fiddle with while I'm talking to people.
I move around a lot because I'm just an uncomfortable human being.
You know what I'm saying, though? Dude, type shit, bro. I just feel weird. I feel people that think I'm being rude. I'm trying so hard to just not be that way. But I think as a society, we used to be, I think there didn't used to be extreme left and right. There just used to be people that were people, and then they leaned left or right. And then it got to be the left and right. And then it got to be like you were left or you were right. And then it got to be extreme left, extreme right. I think that it's going to have to boil over and something messed up's going to have to happen for it to get back to where we're just people that lean one way or another. Because I don't think that's how it is anymore. I don't know very many people that I hear people say that they lean left or right. And I've said that recently. I have my own train of thought. I lean left, but I don't know that we actually do. I think most of us are pretty firmly planted on one side or the other, and it's because I think most people feel like they've been shoved that direction. You know, you're only the good guy from your perspective. So believe me when I tell you that the people on the other side that we call the bad guys, they think that we're that, and from their perspective, they're doing things right. So it takes patience and empathy and conversation. It's exhausting.
We lost the middle class, and I think that's right. What led to everything is because you're right. Before it used to be, you know what I mean, the people were more moderate, and that we actually had politicians that were moderate. And yes, there were debates always. I from the beginning of time, between the two parties, you know what I mean, and arguments and different ways of doing things and everything like that. But it really seemed to me that removing the middle class and getting that out, you know what I mean, it affected our country, psychologically, as well as financially. I mean, if you look through history, when the separation between the wealthy and the poor becomes too much, and there's no bridge in the center, like the middle class, civil wars happen. Yes. And that's just, you know what I mean? People get angry, man. You know what I mean? And things go down. And that's kind of what we're heading towards right now. And we've got no one that is there right there in the middle saying, well, there's the right, there's the left, but let's all be honest. Real life happens in the gray areas, right? Nothing's black or white. Gray area is where life actually really happens. And let's just be honest about that. You know what I mean? No one is coming in with that anymore. And so, yeah, it is polarized completely. We don't have Democrats and Republicans. We've got conservative and liberals. You know what I mean?
It's weird, dude.
It's a trip that everybody has to go to the extreme on things, and you know what I mean. There is no reaching across the aisle on anything from DC to our streets. You know what I mean? And that's just something that we need to show each other a little bit more respect. You know what I mean? Just as humans.
I agree.
You know, in the heart of the day, that's where we're at, man. Fuck your borders. You know what I mean? Fuck your countries. We're all human beings that we're just trying to get through this shit, man. We're here for a little bit of time, and we're just trying to get by and enjoy it as best we can.
It is weird, and it is more. It's so strange because there is no. I distinctly remember when George W. Bush was our president, and I thought it could never get worse than this. Dude, we are so many degrees further than that now.
Yeah,
and I don't even know how it started. Like, I want to be like, Donald Trump did. I don't know that that's where it started, though. I think it was always headed this direction. Unfortunately, if you look back, I mean, you can see a direct line. I think we were just. It's the wealth gap, dude. It's not about politics. It's about money, and it ain't about left and right. It's about poor and rich, and the rich people want us to argue. They want there to be multiple separation points because there's like race separation between black, brown, white, whatever, right? Then there's left and right, which that creates another separation. Now there's Hispanic and American, and then there's poor and there's rich, and there's gay and then there's straight. Like, how many times can they separate us before we all realize that, dude, all they're doing is pushing each one of us until we have our own little house, and all we do is talk about our stuff in our house. We have no leverage, no power, no nothing, except we have to do what they tell us to do. And once they take freedoms away, they don't give them back. So, I don't know where it all started, but it had something to do with money. I don't think
I'm with you 100%. I always thought that our whole goal was that supplying more freedoms and liberties. You know what I mean? As we move forward as a country, and evidently I was really, really wrong, because it's about taking freedoms and liberties away from people at this point, and that's whatever. And anyway, I'm not going to be solving any of the world's problems here, yammering on in my closet.
Well, let's pivot over to Lars Frederiksen and the Bastards a little bit. How did that come about? How did you guys start doing? Because I remember when it first came out, the first album. All I could think about was like, dude, this is like just a faster, more Motorhead influenced Rancid sound, right? Now it did change along its way as well. It evolved too, but. How did you guys get to hanging out, listening to music together, and then playing it? Like how'd that all happen?
Lars and I we've been friends since we were kids, and so we grew up in Campbell, California, and met around the time that we were about 15, and so we've been friends since then. And we had our first punk band together. Super cool name. We were called the Nowhere Men, and we did a few things locally and all that, and that was our thing. And at the time, so I'd known him forever, and he actually joined. We were playing at this club in Oakland called the Omni one night, and a band called the UK Subs was playing across town over at the Berkeley Square. If I've got all of this correct. Anyways, came over to the show, saw Lars play. That was history. I invited Lars to be a UK sub. And so Lars, obviously left, our teenage band and everything like that, and the state and the country, and went and started on, and his story. You know what I mean? Taking off from there. And so we've always been friends. And he was nice enough to, when he had this idea that where him and Tim were going to put some songs together for a new project called Lars Frederiksen and the Bastards. And he was looking at forming a band around that. He said, look, man, we were in our first punk band together. We should do this together. And that was just a really cool thing of him. He didn't need me, you know what I mean? But it was a brotherhood thing. He wanted me there. And that's fucking awesome. You know what I mean? And that's a true brother right there, And so I had been doing The Forgotten, and as a matter of fact, that band Slip that evolved into The Forgotten, he started Slip, and he left Slip to go join Rancid. And Slip called me up and said, hey man, we're going to drop down to only one guitar, but we do need a singer. Can you step in here? And oddly enough, I took, did that and everything. And so we had a bit of a history with local music and everything like that, and what was going on. And I was happy with what was going on with The Forgotten, and, had the bug and wanted to be doing music full time and everything, and was over the moon that he asked me to be part of this and help realize these songs that him and Tim had written. And so that's how we got into that. We were looking for his backing guitar player, who would play, the rhythm guitar in the band and everything. And it was worked out beautifully to get Craig from The Forgotten in as that guitar player for it. It made it a whole lot easier for me to tell The Forgotten I was not going to be around when the Bastards were on tour and everything like that. And Craig's a phenomenal guitar player. You know what I mean? It's just you can't go wrong having that guy hitting the strings in your band. He's just a straight slinger. And so Lars put the band together, and that was it. You know what I mean? We tracked in Tim's home studio. And, that was that was absolutely wild. All of this was brand new to me and everything like that, and seeing how things were done. And it was a really, really fun and wild ride. It was just absolutely great time. I was stuck in a ski mask for the first album and first tours. And that was an evolving thing, because that was a fucking learning curve, man. You know what I mean? Take the stage in a ski mask, and man, we were talking earlier about tattoos feeling like a bad idea. Wearing a ski mask on stage underneath those lights and doing cardio for, I mean, it was just a half an hour at that point when our first show's out with the Murphys and things like that. And by God, I was dying. And so, you learn these things. First, I tried dumping a bottle of water on my head, and that just sealed up all the damn pores on this thing and got even hotter on it. And so then I ended up cutting out the liner to it. So it was just a and the mask evolved because sometimes on stage it would just get so damn hot, I'd just rip a hole in the top of it. And then after the set, I'd stitch it with dental floss or, throw a couple safety pins in to hold it together. And so I had this thing held together with dental floss and, safety pins and everything that evolved into the Bastard's mask for the time. And by the time we hit the second album, he said, let's get you out of the mask. And you know what I mean? Why don't you just go ahead and do you up there? And so that was nice that I didn't have to hide who I was, because let me tell you, it was kind of a drag to make sure that the way that I was at the merch booth and walking around the club before and after the gig looked different than the Unknown Bastard. And so, I mean, we're talking about having to cover tattoos with long sleeve shirts and blah, 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 you know what I mean? And so to keep that mystery alive for it, you know what I mean? It took a little effort, you know what I mean? Plus, I was in that hot fucking mask that also works like blinders. So I'm bumping into people because I can't see who's to the side of me, all the time and stuff. But I mean, the whole thing was just a blast. I don't want it to seem like I'm bagging on it. I find it so funny. You know what I mean? And fun. It was such a great fucking time, doing that band with them. I couldn't say enough about it, man. Learned a lot going through that and met a lot of really cool people. And it was just great for me to the guy that I started getting on stage with. The first guy that I ever got to wear a spotlight with was Lars Fredriksson. And then here we were this many years later and, in our 30s and, you know what I mean? Double the age that we were before, and we're doing it again. And, it's anybody who's ever had like a really close friend that it's fun to work on a project with, whether it's wrenching on a car or whatever. It's that feeling, man. And it was just, it was really cool to do that project with him.
I remember the ski mask thing, and I mean, I didn't know who was underneath it, but I always thought it was kind of cool. And then when the second album came around and it was not there anymore, I also thought the evolution of that was cool because it did change. Lars Fredriksson and the Bastards has like it's a 2-album lifespan, but it's got like this arch because it evolved so rapidly because it was just 2 records. But the songs fit so well together, like played live. That Murphys tour, was that? I said that was y'all's first tour?
For first real tour, yeah. We did our very first show at a place, VFW Hall out in Campbell, California. And it was kind of iconic because like Social Distortion was like the biggest band that ever came through there, but all of the all of your best punk shows that happened in Campbell would happen at this one little place. Somebody would come in and rent it out, and do that. Okay. And so for our first thing, we threw our own show at the Vets Hall. And so we put on the show, we did everything for it, and we introduced the Bastards to Campbell, California. That way, because that's what all the songs were about. That's what Lars had written about for it. Yeah. That's where the focus was on this thing. And so we played basically in the shadow of that water tower that is the iconic Campbell symbol, and did a show right there with it. And then the next day, we got in a car and drove to the House of Blues Anaheim and played with Social Distortion for our second show ever. Yes. It's just you know what I mean? It was unbelievable to me. I'd never seen anything move that quickly in my life. It was not, you know what I mean? And so we had done that, and I think that might be kind of about it for like the local ones that were coming on. And then that tour with the Murphys came up, and so what we did to get ready for it is we played shows driving across the U.S. to get to Poughkeepsie to start that first night.
Oh, so nice.
We did like 5 shows across in the U.S. To try to get down what we were doing and see what tour was going to be like for us so that we weren't starting from 100% cold start out there. But I mean, hats off to the Murphys, to the Utters, for giving us a shot and letting us be on their tour. It was just a really, really cool thing to do, and a great launching pad. And again, when I talk about learning things, you know what I mean? Being able to learn from, you know, my hometown heroes, the Swingin' Utters, and you know what I mean, the Murphys, and you know, getting to see, you know, how Lars operates with his things really, really helped me out in, you know, ways that I just can't explain. You know what I mean, as far as mindset and, you know, how to approach things, and, you know, doing things the right way, pitfalls to look out for. It was basically, these guys were, I was busy burning myself to find out fire was hot. And that's how I made all of my decisions up until that point. And then it's nice to be around people who can actually explain to you in words that I understand that fire's hot. And if I'll get burned, you know what I mean? And so it took a lot of guesswork out of my game, you know what I mean? And having to fail on my own, you know what I mean? For a lot of things, it was just, Bastards was a really cool experience. And being able to sing those songs, I mean, I really think Lars and Tim knocked it out of the fucking park with that. And I thank them so much for not keeping them as Rancid songs, you know, because it was a lot of fun to do. And I think that all the Bastards brought a certain flavor as well in executing those songs that they had written.
Well, that band is always brought up as one of the better Rancid side projects. On that tour with Dropkick, you said Swingin' Utters was on that tour.
Yeah.
So is that the tour where the dude in the Dropkick Murphys broke his hand?
Yes.
Okay, so for the life of me, I used to have a poster from that tour because I'm from Houston. Y'all played Fitzgerald's.
Yes.
And that show is one of my probably top 3 or 5 shows of my whole life. And I've been to thousands of shows at this point. That's always one that stuck out. Lars played double duty with Dropkick and with the Bastards, of course. But that's one of the posters that I wish I could get back. I had it was like a little tour poster. I think I got it off the wall at the venue, but I lost my apartment in that flood. And so we lost all of our shit. And it is what it is. But like, I could never remember who the middle band was for like all these years. I couldn't remember who it was. I was like, no, it was Lars and the Bastards, somebody else, and Dropkick Murphys. It was the freaking Swingin' Utters. Dude, it makes it even so much better knowing that that's who it was that I was there. Now it's like spurring memories on, but you said that, and my brain went, that's who that was. It was freaking Swingin'. It was
the Utters, and it was the days that Spike was in the band at that point too. And then I think that the opening band was a hardcore band called Reach the Sky on that one. And then I think that you guys may have had a local opener on it too, because I remember the guys were a little bit older than we were, and I remember the singer's spiky hair and red bondage pants. And they were good. And I asked somebody about him, and they said, oh, yeah, you know, these guys are like Houston's, you know what I mean, old school, you know, big act and everything like that. They've been around forever, and they're like really revered in town and stuff like that. But evidently I got to see some Houston history there at Fitzgerald.
It was the Hates.
It was I can't remember the band's name, and I've been trying to think of it for years. So it's funny you bring that up.
Dude, if it's the Hates, because I'm thinking, but based on your description of the band, it's got to be who it is. I'm really good friends with their drummer. I'm going to ask him and say, hey, find out if this was a show that Christian played. And if so, I'll let you know, because
please,
that is even cooler that my brain just doesn't, you know, my memories are the highlights of that night, man. That's a long time ago now. And it was obviously Lars and the Bastards and then the Dropkick Murphys. But that was the first time I met Lars. I was backstage. I don't even know what I was doing back there. I probably just walked back there. But what do you remember what year that was? I think it was 01.
01, yeah.
01. So yeah, I had just gotten this tattoo to my throat, and I remember showing it to him, and he was like, "Dude, you're young to have that on your neck." Like, and I was like 19, and I was like, "Yeah, dude, I don't give a shit. Like, this is, yeah, man." I was a young wild boy, man.
That's awesome.
So over the years, you've played a lot of live shows. You've done a lot of touring. Has there been anything that you've learned over the years that just like wisdom you'd like to pass on to another person that's younger, just starting to do this kind of stuff? Because touring right now is a little different than it was back then, but it still exists. What are some things that you learned back then that maybe just stick out to you as lifelong lessons that you learned?
The biggest one is be cool, man. Everybody that you're going to see on the way up, you're going to see on the way down again, man. You know what I mean? And if you burn a bridge, you better be damn fucking sure you mean to burn that bridge, and do it in style when you do. You know what I mean? But otherwise, there's just no point in letting egos get in the way of anything and being uncool with people. Or, you know, nobody knows what somebody else's day entailed and everything like that, you know? and just be cool. You know what I mean? There's no need to approach. It takes, all of us are little cogs in this big old machine called punk rock. You know what I mean? And every fucking cog, no matter its size, is really fucking important. You know what I mean? And you need to know that. You need to respect that. You know what I mean? And when you step into a club, you better learn the name of your bartender if you drink. And if you're taking that stage, you better learn the name of your sound guy and your monitor guy. You know what I mean? You better thank and if anybody helps you with your gear, they deserve a huge thank you. You know what I mean? And if a band is nice enough to put you on the show and you're not the headlining act, you better fucking thank them publicly. You know what I mean? This is, these are little things called respect that are the backbone of our scene, and hopefully stops us from deteriorating as much as normal society is. You know what I mean? We've got some unspoken rules about respect, and I think that that's the biggest one to it. Because this is punk rock. You can have a 3-chord sloppy band making it just as big as completely proficient people on 5-string basses and whatnot and everything like that, and all different styles and everything like that. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? What matters is the type of human that you are, whether or not you're going to have legs in this game. You know?
That's very, very true too, man. Like you said, there's a lot of things out there. I try to tell people, man, do your merch right, like stuff like that. But it's funny because when I asked you that question, I didn't know what you were going to say, man. But it's almost exactly what Colin said. Like, be respectful, be nice to people, and that's why I started chuckling. Because I'm like, yeah, that's a pretty common answer, which tells you a lot. If it's a common answer, it means it's important and it's the right answer. That's what you do learn as you get older. You learn to treat people with respect. But
well, don't listen to everything Colin says, by the way. That guy named his dog Gordon, all right? And he gets a little kick. He got a little grin on his face when he tells me when he takes the dog out to the park in the morning that he gets to yell, "Stop it, Gordy. Stop it. Get back here, Gordy. What are you doing?" All right? So take anything Colin's saying with a grain of salt there.
Sounds like Gordy's a pain in Colin's ass.
It does. In more ways than one.
That's awesome. Dude. Man, do you have any pets? Are you a pet guy?
I do. I have a beautiful white German Shepherd, and the wife and I gave it a name that nobody understands. The dog's name is Oi. Oi the dog is the full name, and that's just because, I mean, if you're familiar with the scene, they had Oi the album, right? And yes. then that's the iconic Oi album, right? But it's Oi the album, and then they came out with Oi the tape, and then somebody thought it was funny to make Oi the t-shirt off of it, right? And so it became a long-running joke with a lot of us that everything was, you know what I mean? That's Oi the sandwich over there, you know what I mean? Just because you're eating the sandwich, yeah. And so we get the fucking dog, and we're trying to see what we're gonna name it, and the wife was just like, Oi the dog, and that's it. That's it. All right. So yes, I've got Oi. Oi just turned 7 years old. She's got high anxiety and does great stunts such as pushing the AC unit out the window of my house and taking off for a while on her own. And she's living in a downtown area. We get a lot of fireworks and things like that the high anxiety dog doesn't. She's not down with, but. She's a brave little girl, and we're there for her. You know what I mean? So yeah, I am a pet guy. We had cats prior to that. Okay. I do believe cats to be the most punk of all pets, just because cats. I mean, dogs are great. They love you. They're loyal. They're everything. Cats, you know what I mean? They don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? They're looking out for what they're doing, and that's great if it lines up with whatever you're doing. But they really don't fucking care. And so cats are wonderful. But right now, for the last 7 years, I've been a dog guy.
Cats are punk rock. They're rude.
They are. They're a bunch of little assholes, man. You know what I mean? Doing whatever the fuck they want and expecting to be taken care of. Jesus Christ.
All right. I got a couple more questions if you have the time. Yeah. It's up to you.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, let's do it here.
Was there ever a time where you decided maybe you didn't want to play music anymore and you almost just called it quits?
I have hit points where I remember telling myself that if certain benchmarks aren't made by the time that I hit 35, that I needed to absolutely change gears and protect myself. You know what I mean? And do things like that. And I never hit. I didn't do it because I'm really lousy with any sort of follow through. So obviously that never happened. You know what I mean? But things slowed down for me organically. And no, there was never a time where I said, well, I definitely don't want to do it anymore. You know what I mean? Or I would never start a new band. You know, as members from the Forgotten started peeling off, saying, look, you know, our family needs to be with the grandparents, so we're moving to this state, or you know, so and so is going to college. You know, my wife's going to college at Duke here, and so we need to take care of our lives here, and we're going to do this and everything like that. And hey, that's all understandable, man. You know what I mean? We're not setting up retirement funds. This isn't your career. You know what I mean? I get it. You know what I mean? And so there were times like that, but it never made me think, no, I won't do this ever again. Made me realize what I would do again. You know what I mean? Because as much as I will never say I wouldn't play music again, now I just kind of saying, well, I'm probably not going to go on a long tour again or something like that. But yeah. I definitely, I mean, it's in me. I enjoy doing it. And whenever I have a chance to do it, whether it is with the Forgotten, with the Bastards. I mean, Lars was nice enough when he was doing the solo thing for a while. A couple of times when he was in Oakland, he gave me a ring and said, hey, you want to come out and spit a few with me? You know, and so I'd go out there and do that with him. And so it's always fun to still be involved in music. And I never want to lose any of that. You know what I mean? From the feeling, from the vibe, to the creativity, to the people. You know, I never want to let go of it. But there are certain things out there that I did that I wouldn't want to do again. You know what I mean? As far as playing certain places, the extent of certain tours, the way that we handled certain things, you know, all those. But music fucking rules. I'm down.
Right, dude. That's first off, yes, music does rule. Tell me about maybe your worst performance on stage, and did you learn anything from that performance?
There's been so many. I don't even know where to start there. You know. I definitely hit a point. I hit a point where I decided that drunk rock wasn't cool on there. A huge fan of the U.S. Bombs, and they were going on when the Forgotten was first getting together, and Dwayne's so charismatic, and you know, Johnny Thunders was such a great guitar player with his style of junky slop, you know what I mean, that he did and stuff. And I thought that being wasted was part of the show and stuff like that, you know what I mean? And I learned real quick, you know what I mean, that maybe it is for some people, maybe that's their gig or whatever, but for me, I have a hard time being in my own skin if I don't try and do everything in my power to give you the best experience. Because you know what, you spent money and you took time, you know what I mean, to come out and see what's going on and stuff like that. And I owe you a fuck ton more. You know what you did was very kind. You know what I mean? And how dare I abuse that by taking the stage less than? You know what I mean? That's just that I wasn't holding up my end of the bargain. And so that's something that I've that I definitely changed. I got rid of the drunk rock routine out of it. You know what I mean? Having a beer before a set, hey, no problem and stuff like that, but no more getting in the bag. You know what I mean? And coming in on lyrics when I feel like it, and lost up there or anything like that. Some people can pull it off. I couldn't, and I learned from that. You know, and so that's definitely something I don't want to do. And we also, not that it's an onstage thing of giving the worst performance of my life, but I felt that when the Forgotten did our first release abroad and did a 10-inch EP for Knockout Records out of Germany, that we let ourselves down. I think that I felt that we were ego driven, and that we thought things were going really well for us, and basically we could fucking fart in a jar and people would buy it to smell it. You know what I mean? And that was just it's an embarrassing thing to admit to, but I can't be the honest guy I want to be without admitting to it, that I think we could have done better for Knockout Records on that one. And that changed my mind. And I think a couple other band members that also felt the same way. You know what I mean? I changed our mind that no, when we do something, we need to focus hard. We need every representation that we put out there to be the best thing. Again, not just for respect for ourselves, but for labels, for anybody who thinks that they enjoy, they would give us the whopping 2 minutes, 30 seconds out of their life to actually listen to what we're putting out there. You know what I mean? Why would we disrespect that by not putting our all into it? That's our one thing to do. You know what I mean? Is to deliver this to the best of our ability. It doesn't need to be the best thing in the world. You know what I mean? The sun doesn't need to rise and set in the shadow of the fucking forgotten or anything like that. But for what we do, whatever it is for that time, I need to be focused on it, and I need to make sure that I'm giving the proper respect to the entity and all entities, that surround it, in order to do that. Otherwise, why? You know what I mean? It's
right.
really just, I'm wasting some time, and I don't know when my expiration date is. You know what I mean? And so I don't know how much time I got to work with. You know what I mean? I might blink out in the middle of this conversation. I might have another good 20 years in me. I don't fucking know. So it's up to me if I want to be able to be comfortable in my skin. Those are the things I need to do. Not that I'm telling anybody else how they should be or what they should be doing, because everyone else seems to have it all figured out. You know what I mean? I'm just over here still fucking. I still haven't figured out what I want to be if I grow up. You know what I mean? So
yes,
Dude,
that was a wonderful answer too, and also I think over the course of this conversation, I figured out we think a lot alike, and I think it's wonderful. But the drinking thing, man,
yeah,
I have to say, dude, I appreciate you thinking that way, because I also used to get real messed up before we played, and I know for a fact that I can watch. I have only like maybe 3 of my sets ever that I played filmed, right? But I can see that 2 of those, I was definitely not on my game, and I sounded like shit. I looked like crap. I was trying to be funny when I wasn't. And then there's one where I was very clearly not high, and it's like, oh man, that was way, way better. Like, man, I wonder how many times I embarrassed myself and didn't even know it. And I will say this with all due respect to Dwayne Peters, because especially what he's dealing with now, the guy's got a lot of rough times in the past couple of years, and probably in the next couple. And they're one of my favorite bands ever. But I only got to see them play once. He was incredibly wasted. And now, granted, I've modeled some of my stage presence after him, but it wasn't a very good show, and he was incredibly rude to me when I met him. And it really bummed me out, right? It's probably one of the 2 or 3 people I can think of my whole life that I've met that I was excited to meet that was like not super nice. And it sucked because, there's no chance he would remember any of that. But like, dude, he was just, it's tough, man. We're not Motley Crue, man.
Yeah, for our community, it's a little something different. You know what I mean? And like I said, I'm not telling anybody how to live or how they should be on stage or anything else like that. That this is just me personally on it, And there was in getting away from it, I realized too that there was a lot of I was hiding. I was hiding behind that booze. I was getting drunk out of duty because you know what? Sour notes, being off time, not being perfect, not being great at something. Well, I could blame it. I could always blame that on, well, hey, it's fucked up, man. What do you expect? You know what I mean? Come on. You know what I mean? Why are you so uptight? You know what I mean?
Right.
If I do this sober, I have to take full ownership of when I'm not on. And I need to learn how to have a sense of humor about myself, how to work harder to, you know what I mean? To put out the product that I want to put out, you know what I mean? And the perception that I want, received of what I'm doing, you know what I mean? Has to be there and everything. And so it is kind of freeing to a certain thing that I'm not hiding anymore, whether it's good or whether it's bad. Fuck, man, that's me. And that's what I got to work with today. You know what I mean? And I'm going to own that, and I'm not going to hide from it anymore.
100%. 100%. On the flip side of that coin, do you have any instances of like a show or a performance that you remember of because it was really, really great? And is there anything that you might have learned from that? Because I know we remember the bad things often, but I tend to forget some of the better stuff. I always dwell on the negatives.
I do, and both of them were complete surprises. There's 2 that stand out, and they were surprises because they weren't things that were we were not the headlining band. People were not there to see us. For all intents and purposes, they could give a shit at both of these shows, who the other bands were that were playing and everything. But it was one of those things that when we were genuinely ourselves, and we were tour tight. And as a band guy, you know the difference. You can practice twice a day in a practice studio with your band as much as you fucking want, as long as you fucking want. But tour tight is a whole different beast. When you are hitting live stages every single night in repetition, it makes you want to go back and re-record every single song that you had already put out and took all the time to do, because you now have little nuances and little tricks up your sleeve and things like that you want to pull out, and you can just do it so much better now. You know what I mean? And so we were at that point, and one of them was our first show with Coxbar, and that was, I think, in 2000. And we all went out, the Forgotten went out to go see them at the American Music Hall, I think it was, in San Francisco. And as we're there, Mark Rainey from TKO walks over and says, "Hey, you know, the Reducers are out with these guys right now. And unfortunately, they had a family member that's going through some shit, and they're not going to be able to play LA tomorrow. Is there any way that the Forgotten might be able to drive down to LA and play the show with Coxbar?" And we were just like, well, I mean, this is what we were doing full time. So if we were at home, we weren't working straight jobs or anything like that. And so it was just like, fuck yeah, you know? So we went out there and did it. And our expectations, we get to see Coxbar for free. Maybe they were going to be in the same area of the backstage as them, and we could fucking look at them, you know what I mean? Or something like that, you know what I mean? This is really cool. And of course, it's another gig and stuff like that. And we get to the show, and I remember the singer from Mad Parade was like, straight pissed off at me. You know what I mean? He was just like, well, when this is LA and we're an LA band and we're on the bill, and why are we playing under you? Okay. You haven't been around as long as we've been around. This isn't your fucking town. And the band that was contracted to be playing support had to step off. You guys should be opening. This isn't particularly fucking cool. You know what I mean? And I might be saying a little bit harsher than in the how he intended it, but that was the main message, was just that, hey, we're a little bit crumbed out that you guys just kind of walked onto such a great slot at a great bill. You know what I mean? When it's not even your fucking town, you know? And there's something to be said for that. You know what I mean? And we just got up there and did our thing. And the same guy who said that to me came up to me after the show and was drawing Clash comparisons between me and the guitar player, and just in the way that we interacted with each other up there. Was talking about what a great show it was, that he was just wound up sort of thing, but that was the vibe for everything. I remember Mick from Coxbar watched us, and as I turned around to leave the stage, and I'm gassed. I left it all out there because the crowd, they weren't expecting it. And they loved it. They received it so well. And so I was on a fucking cloud, and I just put everything that I had out there for it. I turned around, and Mick, didn't know the guy at the time. And he says, man, that was really good. You know, if you guys had a t-shirt out, you know, for sale, I'd support your band, and I would wear your shirt. And of course, being me, I said, on stage, 1 second. And I ran out to the very front of the club, went to the merch booth, didn't know what size he was, so I grabbed one of every fucking size, and I came back with the shirts for him, and I said, here you go, I don't care if you wear them tonight or whatever, you know what I mean, but thank you for the fucking interest. But that was just one of those amazing nights where everything lined up, and the Forgotten drove home with the biggest grins on our faces ever, because nothing that we expected out of that day worked the way that we expected, but it worked out beautifully. And the second time was in Oberhausen. We were very fortunate that Make a Difference, MAD Booking out there, took an interest in us. And they said, we want to introduce you to Europe in the best possible way that we can. So for our first time out there, we did a third with the US Bombs, a third with Agnostic Front, and a third with The Business. And one of that Oberhausen show had all three of those bands together on it. And we were the unknown openers. And we outsold every band in merch on it. People were over the moon because, again, they didn't know what to expect, and they didn't know what was going to happen. And luckily, tour tight. You know what I mean? And so we were able to get out there and deliver quite a fucking show. And it ended up being one of the best fucking nights of our life. It ended up so good. We we did the stupid things that we swore we would never do. We got so drunk that all of us bands together smashed every bottle in the joint, because you know how big they are with recycling in Europe. So, you know, nothing was in the trash can. It was all available to us. And so we smashed every bottle in the joint. And this is after everybody left. Cranked the music, our own music we want to listen to. We all got so ridiculously slammed, we actually left Stigma at the club that night.
Oh shit!
And so,
dude, shout out Benny Stigma.
He had to get picked up in the morning and everything, but it was just one of those, again, absolutely on a cloud fucking nights. You know what I mean? That things went so well for us, and it was like it's one of those, because it was a surprise. We weren't expecting it. It wasn't like, hey, we're going to be out at this thing, and so and so and so and so are going to be seeing us, and we're going to be, let's showcase ourselves for this, and you know what I mean? Or we need this market to have a good you know, idea of us, and we really need to, you know, knock it out of the park. It was just us doing us. That was it. And you know what I mean? And we realized that on both bills, we are the little guys, you know what I mean? The unknown, the forgotten. And you know, but we had no expectations and ended up leaving just on a fucking cloud. And so those were two shows of the other side of the coin there, that it was just, you know what I mean? It's amazing when lightning strikes, you know what I mean? And it never strikes when you try to make it do that, it seems like it doesn't happen, you know, kind of like a relationship or something like that. You know, when you're fighting to make something happen, it just seems impossible and unobtainable. And then little things happen along the way that make you go, oh, fuck. I mean, if I'm not on the right path, today was on that path. You know what I mean? That's a cool thing that today lined up on it, you know?
Boy, I'm glad I looked at my notes so I could ask that question, because those were both very good stories. Like that was awesome. That made me like feel like I was there. You mentioned something about Tour Tight and having nuances in your songs that are long been recorded. I think that's kind of the beauty in a great live recording. I don't typically like live albums, right?
Me neither.
But the one thing about them that I do like is that you'll get different shit out of songs you've known and loved. You might get a different lyric, or a different guitar solo, or a different drum fill, or whatever. They could add a whole ass verse, you know what I'm saying? Or like when Coxpower plays live, they'll stop with the crowd sing like a whole spot that wouldn't normally be that. It would normally just be music. So you'll get different versions of these songs. But yeah, Tour Tight is a whole thing. Like, and I've only been in a couple of bands, but I know about Tour Tight, dude. Like, that's a whole different level of optimal performance. Like, I like to see a band when they're like 3/4 through their tour. If I'm on the first like 5 shows, it's you know you're not getting the best part of that tour. Whatever, I'm stoked to see a band, whatever. But like, yeah, I want to see the band on their like last quarter of a tour if they're feeling good, they're healthy, and not you know, having some kind of health problems or arguing or something. But as long as everything is going well, the last quarter you get the best performances out of bands, dude.
Absolutely, and that's, you know, and I gotta give one last tip of the hat to just speaking of Tour Tight, to the Bastards. Seeing Lars in something like that is something that he's wearing a different hat, you know what I mean, than he normally does, and he loves music. All right, and so he gets the band to Tour Tight, and then these weird things happen where it could be any night of the week on tour. You never know when it's going to happen. Goes to the front of the stage, turns around and faces all of us and raises his eyebrows to say, and it means, look at me. All right. And then he gives the cues. All right. Boom. And everybody stops and we don't know what's going to happen. And all of a sudden he starts breaking out into another song. All right. And it could be a cover song. It could be a Bastard song that we're not currently playing, that wasn't on the set or anything like that. And we jump off and we take off on that song. All right. And then come back to the other one on there. But he would do things like that constantly. So if you were not Tour Tight, you were left behind out there. You know what I mean? And that was one of the coolest things. Stressful in the best fucking way. You know what I mean? But man, it was a wonderful, wonderful thing to get everybody in the band actually focused in on each other. Nobody's in their own world doing their own, look at me, you know what I mean? Or anything like that. We're up there for one purpose, and it's this one project, and we're looking at the band leader and making sure that we're all in, you know, and timed up on each other like that. And, you know, if you can't hear things right, you know, I'm running back to the drums on a song I don't recognize and putting my calf up against the kick so I can feel the pattern. And okay, I know this one. I know where we're at now. Okay. You know what I mean? And we're all, you know, jumping in on stuff. But it was being Tour Tight. I mean, that's when live performances happen, man.
100%. Absolutely. And there's like a telepathic communication going on when you're doing that too, because like you're gonna know what he's thinking, and it won't take but a single note to go, I know where he's thinking right now. I know what song he's fixing to start playing. Like you said, you can go up and feel the kick drum and get the rhythm from that and see what song you're playing or what part you're in or whatever. The monitors aren't letting you hear. Dude, that's the shit that sucks. When you're trying to play a live show and you can't hear nothing from the monitor, so you don't know where the bass player is at. You don't know what the vocalist is doing. You can like, I know what song we're playing, so I know how it should sound, but
we when we were on Warped Tour in 2004, we one set we took the stage and the monitors were still set for Avenged Sevenfold, and the vocalist does a weird thing where he's got crazy rapid delay on everything he's doing. So everything, you know what I mean? As it's going, you get constantly bounce back, and we weren't expecting that. And so we took the stage, and all of us immediately flying blind as soon as vocals started, because between both me and Lars and the backup singing and everything like that, everything was just bouncing everywhere. And that was nuts. And when you talk about Tour Tight being needed, fuck, dude, that's exactly it. Exactly what you're saying, where everybody was backing up, getting close to either their, noisemaker or somebody else's noisemaker,
right?
So that we could figure out what's going on, because those monitors were doing us no fucking favors. And of course, it's Warped Tour, so the person that's doing your monitors there, they're on it. They were just like, oh shit, you know what I mean? This thing's going on. The last guy that was on it, you know what I mean, and stuff like that. Okay, and so they got it sorted out. But God damn it, man, it's not the way that you want to start a set in front of thousands. You know what I mean? Of just being completely just blind out there.
That's terrifying to get up on a stage in front of a couple thousand people, or maybe more than that even, and then it doesn't start off like on the right foot, and you're just like, oh no, where is this going? Fortunately, most people, especially at the Warped Tour, they're professional, man. They know what they're doing. They can fix it. And you guys have been playing music long enough to where I'm sure it was, easily fixed, but stressful nonetheless. I mean,
it was funny as all hell. I'll tell you that, man. Hit me up again and we can keep the conversation going, man.
Absolutely, man. I definitely appreciate your time. I know it did kind of go fast and long. So thank you very much for your time today, man. I appreciate it. Don't hang up quite yet. Give me 1 second. But everybody, y'all know what to do out there, man. Listen to the music. If you see an opportunity to see these guys play, go see them play. Obviously, we want to support the musicians. But if you got any questions or concerns, hit me up in the comments. We'll take care of you guys. We'll see you in the next Punk Rock Review podcast. Peace.